along the Israel-Gaza border suffered immense devastation at the hands of Hamas during and after the terror attacks earlier this month. Now residents, neighbors, and volunteers are trying to pick up the pieces and slowly rebuild. In that effort, one of the biggest Christian tourism groups in Israel is launching a fundraising campaign for those battered areas. And joining me now to discuss this fundraising effort is Scott Phillips, the executive director of Passages, which brings thousands of Christians closer to Christ each year through encounters in the Holy Land. Scott, thanks so much for coming on today and for your time. We appreciate it. So tell us about what's happening on the ground from your friends and your contacts in Israel. How are they doing? I mean, it has been such a traumatic time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Really, this is unprecedented in Israel's history. And October 7th, last Saturday, was the deadliest day for the Jewish community since the Holocaust. And so, Israel's a small country, and everyone is impacted in some way, whether it be on that day where over almost 1,500 Israelis were killed, murdered. Or if it's, reservists or soldiers that they know going into, defend the country right now. So Israel's a small country, and so our friends are definitely impacted. It's a very, very somber time in Israel. At the same time, Israelis are coming together really like never before and are united and are finding the good in this for sure.
Yeah, and as we said, trying to pick up the pieces and rebuild. So what about that? What about the rebuilding efforts? This really has to be a challenge, I would assume, in the midst of the war right now.
It really is. And I think a lot of the focus is on getting immediate needs to those families that were affected. The families of the hostages, of almost 200 hostages taken into Gaza, those who are no longer able to live in their homes. They're not even allowed to go into their communities. They're closed military zones. Those who have needs, the families of those who were murdered on that day. And of course, all of the soldiers and reservists and a lot of needs there. So I think that the immediate focus right now is on immediate needs, and I think rebuilding is definitely going to be on the radar as soon as a little time passes.
Yeah, talk to us about your fundraiser, and also, what's the goal here? How much are you looking to raise?
Sure. So Passages looked to engage both our alumni. We've taken over 11,000 Christian college students and high school students to Israel, really to engage all those who are interested, not just our alumni, interested in giving to specific communities and the needs in those communities right there that were impacted the most. And so our War Relief Fund is going directly to families, going directly to these communities through our relationships. Our students have actually visited these communities in times of peace. And so it's a very personal thing for Passages, and these are our friends. And so we're just looking to raise these funds for these immediate needs and ultimately the rebuilding of their communities.
Yeah, Scott, can you give us kind of an example of what the immediate needs are? Where would your money go to?
Sure. A lot of this goes toward a lot of these families are displaced. They can't live in their homes. They have to live in alternative housing. So it goes toward that. It goes toward, obviously, mental health care. It goes toward basic necessities. They're out of work, so therefore they're not necessarily earning money or as much as they would. And so, a lot of this temporary housing, these types of things. Arrangements for, loved ones that have passed away. So it's all of sort of these basic needs when a tragedy like this happens.
We're almost out of time, but quickly, I know folks want to get information on how they can help. So how can they do that?
Sure. Thank you. You just go to passagesisrael.org and a pop-up will show up right there on the screen and enable you to give.
All right. Wonderful. Scott, thank you so much for coming on and for all that you do. God bless.
Thank you. God bless.